Welcome to the Mortgage Edge podcast, brought to you by Click and Close Mortgage. Today we have Elise Petro from North Little Rock, Arkansas, as our guest. Elise, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Well, as everybody know, we only bring top tier agents from across the country to kind of spotlight you in today's podcast. So, Elise, are you from Little Rock?
I am from Central Arkansas. My parents still live in Benton, which is just a little bit south. I got my undergrad in Conway, and I live with my husband in Lakewood. So this is where I'm from, where I've been most of my life.
That's awesome. So you're an Arkansas girl. I love it. Love
Yes,
it. So, your success is amazing. So when did you get into the industry? How long have you been a realtor?
sure. Comparatively, I think to other people in the industry, maybe not that long. I took my test in the end, like fall of 2021, and really got rocking and rolling in 2022.
That's awesome. So I say this, not quite a rookie, not quite a veteran, but right there in the middle. But I can tell you this, I've seen your numbers. You're definitely doing veteran numbers. Explain to me how you just came on and got running. How are you so
Sure.
successful?
Sure. Well, I before I got into real estate, I was a graphic designer doing remote design work for events and trade shows.
Yeah.
So working from home was something that I was doing before COVID. It's not something that I had to learn how to do. And real estate takes somebody who's very like self-propelled
Mhm.
and can navigate that. And I was also like a single mom at the time. And so I was like, I just got to get out there and do it and make money and support my kids.
So whenever you got into real estate, you were a single mom going into COVID. How did that transpire? How did it happen? Are you part of the people
Sure.
of America that lost their job and said, you know what, I'm going to get into real estate, or is it just you?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I decided to go to grad school right before COVID, and I
Okay.
graduated from my master's program in January of 2020. And 2 months later, we were quarantined. So when I was out there looking for jobs,
There's no
everybody
jobs.
was stuck at home. Like
Yeah.
there was no such thing. So I ended up taking a remote internship for a interior design company. I ended up being able to work on a couple of flips and helping like space plan and design plan for those. And people saw that on social media. And one of my friend and mentors, she came to me and said, at least you need to go get your real estate license so that you can do all of this from start to finish. And at the time I said, no, I don't have time. But time was funny during COVID, and
Yeah.
it ended up being something I had a lot of.
That's awesome. So social media, are you heavy into social media presence right now? Are you post a lot of stuff about your business?
Um, I try to automate as much of that as I can and plan
Mhm.
ahead so that it's sort of short bursts for me. I don't want to let it be a time suck, but I also know that a lot of people are out there looking and they're on social media.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's what I tell everybody right now. So the baby boomers used to be the largest demographic of consumers in the world. No longer. All the big mega companies, all the corporates have switched their audience. It's now millennials and Gen Z, right? They make up 75 million people that are looking to buy houses probably in the next 2 or 3 years. Think about that for a second. 75 million people are gearing up to be first time home buyers. As you and I both know, there's not 75 million houses out there, or in the next decade. So there's definitely going to be a demand and supply coming down the pipe. So, and those the people out there. I'm glad you brought social media. The way millennials, Gen Z digest their content, whether it's news, is different than any other generation. They grew up with an iPhone, with a laptop, with everything on there. So I think it's really important to have a presence in whatever media that you are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I try to automate as much of that as I possibly can so that it's out there and people know what I'm doing, but it's not taken away from what I need to do for my clients.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Back to 2021, you took a 100% commission job in real estate to be a single mom to support your family. That has to be tough. You had to make it work or else. Let's talk about
Yeah, yeah, it was terrifying. It was terrifying, and if I'm being completely honest, like when I first started out in real estate, I was also on Rover dog sitting and doing Instacart, picking up people's groceries because everybody knows that closing doesn't happen as soon as you have your license. It just doesn't. So you got to make it work.
Man, that's awesome. In 4 short years, you are where you're at today. But it didn't start off like that. I think a lot
No,
of people look at realtors and in the real estate business, and they see dollar signs. They think that we're all eating caviar and driving Mercedes Benzes and eating at the club. What they don't
right.
realize about real estate is the effort and the hard work. I mean, I say this all the time. Real estate doesn't sleep. It's a 24/7 job. I know I've taken calls at 10 o'clock at night or weekends or whatever. I mean, it's always going on. Since I've been in the real estate business, I don't think I've taken a vacation where I could actually turn off the phone because you just can't disconnect like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I got married this summer, and I really, really tried to have people cover for me and make sure that everybody was taken care of. But I ended up working a little bit for my
Yeah.
honeymoon. But I had like I don't know, like an 8 hour time difference though, so it was hard. Like when I was up, you guys were all sleeping. So
Very nice. So let's talk about North Little Rock. What's the market like there?
listings at the first part of 2024, probably the first half, listings were kind of dry. Like you had buyers all going to look at the same house. Multiple offers were happening, things like that. But at least from my experience, I'm seeing a lot more listings hitting the market now. I know a lot of people try to avoid doing anything during the holidays sometimes, but at the end of the day, there are certain situations that kind of require that you have to make moves. People who are relocating for jobs, people who, are dealing with an estate because they have a family member that's passed away. They're just things that kind of overcome the time of year and what those ideal circumstances might look like.
So is Little Rock getting an influx of out of town people moving there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I hear people from Colorado, California all the time talking about selling their houses there and moving here because the cost of living is a lot more affordable than in other places. Homeowners insurance is becoming a nightmare in other states, particularly California. So at least here you can still, I mean, your car payment's going to be the same, but you can get a lot more house with a lot less money compared to other places in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are actually moving to Arkansas. They're retiring there, and then with us working at home, a lot of people just move. In fact, one of my best friends, who I went to high school with, we've lived in Dallas our entire life, and he just moved his family to Little Rock because of cost of living and what you just said. Your dollar goes a lot more in Arkansas than it does in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm looking at your production now. How do you get your leads? How do you generate your leads and everything else? Are you paying for it? What are you doing to generate business
Sure.
in today's age?
So my first year in the industry, I would say probably 80% of my business came from OpCity, which is realtor.com for those who
Yep.
don't know. Realtor.com is still a heavily trafficked website for consumers.
Hmm.
I mean, it's in the name, realtor.com. It is for real estate, and a lot of people, find it really easy to use and look for houses from anywhere. So that's where a lot of my business came from, I think, at first. And then as I started to get into the business, then I started working with my sphere, some of my friends, getting referrals. Um, I also am on Zillow, but I have coworkers who pay a lot more to Zillow than I do. I really don't. Um, I managed to get a sliding scale with them, and I picked an amount that I was comfortable with. Um, Now that I've gotten some business and some experience under my belt, I'm also with Redfin. But so it's a combination of things. I prefer to pay at closing than
Yeah.
pay monthly or for a subscription type service. Um, I feel like those things just don't pan out.
It's funny. I have a lot of realtors from across the country, and that's my advice to them. If you're going to pay for a lead based service, pay for leads at closing. At closing, and that way you don't have to pay up front for any leads that you have. So as we sit here, it's November. What is it? November the 8th, 2024, going into the holidays. What's the big plan for your real estate business in 2025? You got
Sure.
any big plans?
So, something really cool happened this year. I got some awards in the first quarter of the year. I was, um, my previous brokerage, I was their top individual agent for 2023, with like 7 million in production. And then I also got Rookie of the Year, for being a newer agent. It was something that I had been nominated for previously and I did win. And it was like after those things happened, I got approached by the brokerage that I'm with now, which is McGraw, and they offered me my own office in North Little Rock. And at the time, I don't know if they even knew that I was getting married and moving to North Little Rock, but it really just kind of worked out perfectly because it means that now I'm going to be in a supervisory position, but I'm also going to have an office that's closer to me. So it's going to reduce my commute time and also give me the opportunity to help other agents get business and grow and be better too. And so the plan for next year is to really grow that team and expand on that and get that going.
That's awesome, man. So are you going to get your broker's license or?
I already did. Yep,
Oh, you
I'm an
did
executive
already.
broker now.
Oh, wow. How long did that take you?
The course the course is just like 40 or 60 hours, something to that effect. And then there's an exam that you have to take after that. So not long between the course itself and then study time, maybe a month.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much is your design now goes into helping you with your listings and stuff like that? I have to think a lot,
Sure,
right? When you're going there and staging and everything else.
sure. Yeah, with staging, definitely. And then sometimes just in helping people see the potential in a space and see that opportunity to make it what they want. Because there's a certain type of client who goes into a house and they need to see it as move in ready and
Right.
move in ready for them. And not every house is going to check off all of your boxes, you know. But if it checks off 80% of those boxes and there's some changes you can make, that's the house, right? And it's just trying to help people see that.
That's awesome. So what makes you unique over if I'm looking for a house in Little Rock, why should I call you Elise as opposed to uh, every other agent out there? What am I getting with
Um,
Elise Petro?
sure, sure. I I like to let my clients think that they are my only client.
Mhm.
I don't sit here and talk about how busy I am or how many clients I'm working with or how many appointments I have. I want them to think that they are the only person that I'm working with and they're a priority for me because I really do care about getting people into a house and getting them into something that they're gonna love and get the absolute most out of.
So with you, so they get everything, right? If they get you, you're taking them to go look at houses. You're listing the. You're not having someone else come in and handle the face fronting part of the job.
No, not at all. And I have had other brokerages and trainers ask me if I've got somebody else doing my paperwork and my contracts. I don't. I
Okay.
take care of all of that myself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's talk about that married life. I think you just said you got married this summer.
Did
Who's the Mister? Let's. You want to give him a shout
I?
out?
Sure, sure. His name is Peter, and I go by Petro because it's easy for everybody to kind of digest. But my full last name is actually Petropoulos. He is Greek, so but it's great. It's been great. We got married in July, and we went to Greece. It was fantastic. I recommend it. If anybody that is ever thinking about going, you should do it.
That's awesome. And you said you had a child.
Together, we have 4 boys. My twins just turned 19 on Tuesday, and then we have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old.
Wow, we have twins that are 19. Holy
Mm-hmm.
cow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so what is this? So let's talk about the state of the real estate market. What do you predict out there in Little Rock? What are you expecting in 2025 from the real estate market?
Well, I think that, in the middle of 2024, we hit a little bit of a slump.
Yep.
Like I said, inventory was kind of low. Of course, like we had this like explosive activity in 2021. People were paying over market value. They were paying appraisal gaps, and it was kind of insane. So this year felt like a slump at least. So I'm hoping for some sort of like normalcy, something in between that is maybe an improvement, but not the chaos that we saw in 2021.
Yeah. Well, I just got back from a bankers convention about a week ago, and they said that they're expecting a 25% increase in 2025 in the real estate market compared to 2024. So, I mean, I saw your production report. Did you have a better year in 2024 than you did in 2023?
It's tough to say, with me getting married in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I definitely had more production in
Yep. You did.
2023.
Yep.
But transaction wise, it's pretty close. I think I'm going to end up with about the same amount of transactions for this year as I did last year. Um, so, does that mean that people are being a little bit more cautious with their money this year? Maybe.
Yeah.
That could be exactly what that is. They're trying to budget, kind of keep it a little bit close to the vest, so that they still have some resources to play with.
So let's talk about that. Well, so what are we in right now? Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market?
I think it's a buyer's market right now. I do.
Yeah. Why do you think it's a buyer's market?
Housing, the inventory is starting to pick back up, but with interest rates being a little bit on the higher end than they were a couple years ago, buyers are being more cautious with their money, and they're wanting to make sure that houses are maintained, that the roofs are good, that the mechanics of it are working and have been checked, and they're asking for repairs on inspections. They're asking for concessions for the closing table, and they're getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, at the end of the day, there are people that are paying a lot of seller concessions, a lot of repairs, a lot of stuff to move their properties. Now it's the time to negotiate, and I still think we're in an inventory shortage. So
Yeah.
you know once the market starts going again, I'm not sure you have those same concessions. You're,
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention we had all those changes in August as far as like industry-wide, buyers agency agreements and talking about where commissions come from, how they're paid, who pays them. Um, Buyers are also asking for concessions because they might be paying their agent, and that's just the reality of the situation too.
well, and also as again back to the date as we're shooting this podcast, it's November 8th, 2024. We're going into the holidays. Anybody that has their house on the market now are serious sellers. I tell everybody
Mhm.
that because a lot of my clients have already taken their house off the market and they're going to re-put them up in the spring. Is what they're saying. So the people that have their house on the market now, they want to sell. So
Oh
they
yeah, they need to
are
move like
independent.
yesterday.
They're ready. They're ready to negotiate. They're ready to give seller concessions. They're ready to do whatever if their house is still on the market today. So I think a buyers out there can get a lot of good deals if they're working with the right agent like Elise Petro.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, at least we can sit here and talk to you all day, but I know it's your birthday and you got lunch to go to and everything else. Uh, what do we not talk about today that we should have talked about? Is there anything we should talk about?
Let's see. Um, well, I do want to talk a little bit about McGraw as a company because, like I said, I am trying to grow, and one of the things that's really important to McGraw, and one of the things that you touched on, is that clients who work with me get me, and at the end of the day, when we're talking about brokerages have me, and I am trying really hard to help those new agents out there who are looking for a brokerage family and a group of realtors to work with. And I want to make sure that they get their questions answered and they feel like they're prepared to go out there and have some maybe tough conversations with people as things change this year. And so, if there's anybody out there who is getting their license or they're at a brokerage now where they're maybe unhappy or the culture is just not a great fit, um, talk to me. Let's see what we can do to make sure that you have the tools and resources and culture that you need to go out there and do a great job for people.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And Elise, if the people want to find you, and I know they do, not only do the buyers and sellers, but also the agents out there looking for a new brokerage home, how do they find you?
Sure. I give my cell phone out pretty freely. They can call or text me anytime. I am at 501-507-7902.
And you probably, if you're looking at us a lot, you can saw that go across the lower thirds right there. Well, Elise, thank you very much for being on our show. Happy birthday. Hopefully you get
Thank
to
you so
enjoy
much.
it all weekend. And thank you very much, guys, for tuning in to another The Mortgage Edge podcast. Thanks, guys. Bye.